Hey, and welcome back to Grunt Reviews. We are back in the studio. In my hands, I have another box. This is the FN Five-seveN Mark III MRD. This is one I've been excited to get my hands on. Guys, always go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and drop a comment with your thoughts. That helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And as always, I've got my Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. We appreciate all of you who do contribute to the channel. Keeps us doing what we're doing, and let's get into it. So it does come in a cardboard box, and the squish nature of this was due to the shipping folks. So gone are the days of the nice big plastic blow molded case. Inside, we do have a range bag here. We'll get the box out of the way. And what we end up with is a couple of things here. So we do get the firearm itself. Does come with one magazine in the weapon system. And then we do get one additional magazine in the, we'll spin this around here, in the top portion. They do send the mounting plates. So, and I'm going off the top of my head here, the Burris Fast Fire, the 2 and the 3, and I believe the Vortex Venom are going to be direct mount to the slide, and then you get plates for the Viper, the Delta Point Pro, and the RMR/SRO. One thing I will make a comment on is they did not include a Acro or Steiner MPS plate. With the growing popularity of those, that would have been nice to see. That also being said, the aftermarket, I'm sure, will take care of it in short order. And then we obviously get our instruction manual, and we get a just a generic gun lock. Surprised, I've seen, they usually send these in the blue FN logo. They may have changed that up recently. And that is it for the unboxing. Let me get this out of the way. Let's get zoomed in and we will talk about the pistol itself. Getting up close and personal with this. These are available in 2 colors. Currently they've got the black, and then of course they have the flat dark earth, and does look, I'd assume they're probably going to do a couple of combinations down the road. At the very top, the sights are suppressor height. They are adjustable, or the rear is adjustable, and they do have photoluminescent inserts. So these are the ones, if you're not familiar, you take a flashlight, shine the flashlight over them, or just ambient light from the room, and then they will glow once you go into the dark. For a firearm with a almost $1,500 MSRP, would be nice if they had included actual night sights. It's still an improvement from the Mark II, but would have been nice to see. However, the photoluminescent is better than nothing. Of course, on the top of the slide here, we do have the optics mounting plate, and then once you remove that, that is where the various plates or direct mount will come into play there. That's kind of the latest change. If you're not familiar with these, or you haven't held one before, essentially the slide is it is a metal slide with a what's the word I'm looking for here? It's been a long day, bear with me. Polymer over the slide. So it does appear to be all polymer, but this slide does have a metal skeleton, and then the polymer is over the top. We do, of course, have our takedown lever. Does have an ambidextrous safety, or ambidextrous. So we do have that safety on both sides, and that is high frame mounted, so that would be engagement with either the trigger finger or the thumb of the support hand. It's always been a very unique safety location on the 5-7s. We only have a single-sided slide release, do not have the option on the right side. However, the magazine release is reversible. Essentially, you take it apart, there is a spring in there, you pull the spring out, you move it to the other side. So for the left-hand shooters out there, it does give you at least a little bit of relief, even though it is not fully set up for left-handed shooting. We do have some very nice texturing on the grip. There's high texturing for the thumb right above that little thumb notch. They actually went on this one, they went a little bit lower with the, I'm going to call it pyramid checkering. Previous generations it came around just a little bit more and it was a little more pronounced. But it's a very nice stippling. They have that pyramid checkering there, and then on the front and on the rear we just have a straight line checkering. And this does have the finger bump in it. I did notice it feels a little bit more comfortable than the Mark II if you haven't held one of those yet. Moving on to the magazine, what I have noticed, this does appear to be the same magazine body as previous generations. Does appear to be a different base plate. I will have to go check that, and we will do a side-by-side comparison video with the two. But does have a 20 round, or for those of you who do not live in a free state, 10 round capacity, and it does come with two of them. Something else that will be noted, my one annoyance with this platform that they still have yet to correct, this does have a magazine safety. So, if you're not familiar, we'll make sure we're clear here. If we remove the magazine, we ride the slide forward, remove the safety, it will not fire. As soon as we insert a mag, either full or empty, we do allow it, or it will allow it to fire. Essentially what the magazine does on the trigger bar is it pushes it up over a ledge so it can actually fully engage it. Some of the aftermarket trigger jobs, they actually go in and remove that. It would have been nice to see FN get rid of it. You don't see those anymore. That feels like a carryover from years and years ago. Could also help improve the trigger a little bit as well, so that would have been nice. As we work our way up front on the safety, one thing to mention, does have a nice little raised safety guard here, so you don't have, or you're less likely to have an inadvertent activation or deactivation. Very nice knurling on the takedown lever there, very sharp, very easy to engage your finger with. And then we do have some pick rail on the bottom for mounting the accessories of your choice. But all in all, does feel quality, does feel very good in the hand. We will pull out our scale here to get you a weight on this pistol. All right, and we're cleared out. So, unloaded with an empty mag, we are coming in at 1 pound, 7.6 ounces. So, roughly 1 pound, 8 ounces there. We get that out of the way. The trigger itself, obviously outside of the magazine safety here. So we have a nice little bit of take up there. I'd say maybe a little over 1/8 of an inch. We come up to some pressure. We have a little bit of stacking there. And then we finally hit a hard wall. And break. All right, and we'll reset. All right, very audible reset, a little bit long. We come back up to that first wall. We've got that little bit of notchiness and stacking. And break. And we'll give you one more there. Reset, wall, stack, break. Do wish there was just a little bit of stacking and a little bit less notchiness to it. However, I will say that even the notchiness does feel relatively consistent, so it should be very easy to get into a groove and really learn this trigger. As always, I have got my handy dandy Lyman digital trigger gauge here, and we're going to see what this thing weighs out at. FN, I believe, quotes it between 4.5 and 7 pounds, if I do recall off the top of my head. And first break, almost right at 5 pounds, 5 pounds and 0.2 ounces. We'll reset her again. Make sure this thing is consistent. That one right at 5 pounds, 5.7 ounces. Reset it one more time. We'll get a third weight on this bad boy. I'm sorry, on this pistol. I realize the bad boy thing is a tick I need to work on there. All right. 5 pounds, 5.9 ounces. So we're coming in between 5 and 5.5 with relative consistency. Obviously, folks, this is just 3 pulls. You know, if we wanted to fully confirm that, I'd have to do many. But for the purposes of a tabletop review, it does feel pretty consistent. A couple things that I have noticed, just kind of some little annoyances with it. On the slide lock there, depending on your shooting grip, with some of the previous ones I had seen it too, but if you use your finger on your right hand there, you can end up keeping the slide from locking back. You got to make sure to get just a little bit higher grip so that your shooting thumb, your right hand, does not inadvertently gauge that. Safety-wise, it does take some getting used to. It is something, if you have not owned or fired a 5.7, having that on the slide does take some adjustment. I actually do kind of like it, and the reason for this is obviously our finger should always be off the trigger until we're ready to fire. That natural spot is right on that safety. We're able to disengage it and we're ready, but it gives us a nice index point for that trigger finger when we're off the trigger. On that same token, for our support hand, at least with my grip, does give us a nice index point for that left thumb as well too. So the safety, as oddly located as it is, actually does work very, very well. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of retraining. Very, very similar to going from a conventional rifle to a bullpup. The 5.7 round itself, very, very cool round. And obviously we will take this out to the range. I'm not going to go into a diatribe on 5.7, but if you have some time, go ahead and research it. The cartridge is very cool. Very, very similar ballistic performance to 9mm out to a much more effective range. Obviously 20 round capacity, and there are some extensions that take you beyond that. Last thing I will mention is the serrations on the frame. So previous generations had some very, very aggressive serrations on the front and on the rear of the slide. And they had, I'm going to call these cocking wings, but they have a nice little shelf for your finger to rest on. One thing they've done as they've modernized the look of this slide is they've gone to a more traditional looking serration there. The downside is twofold. One, if your hands are wet or slippery, these serrations are a little bit harder to get a grip on. You do have to come back and use these cocking wings back here, which it is nice that they include those. But would have been nice to see a little bit more aggressive serrations front and rear. But the other thing is when you go to pull the slide back, let's say you're doing it from the front, what you end up getting into, this little corner and these serrations on the takedown lever are kind of sharp. And if you grab it, you end up running your thumb right into the side of it. Not a huge deal, but it is a little bit of annoyance. I did not notice that with previous generations. They were a little bit higher, a little bit tighter, a little bit easier to get a hold of. So a couple improvements, couple of tweaks that could be made, but all in all, very cool little handgun. One last thing before I forget, does have a loaded chamber indicator there, so it will actually stick out and provide both a visual and a tactile indication that there is a round in the chamber. Guys, wanted to give you the first look. As always, we are going to take this thing out to the range. We are definitely going to see how it performs with and without an optic. As always, I do appreciate your time watching this. Stay safe, train hard.